Laoshi Lawrence McElroy here for Water Tiger School Tai Chi Chuan. Back again, and we're in the Qigong shuffle in this video today. And we're returning to the monkey frolics. This is the fourth of 5 frolics of the monkey. This is Monkey Offers Peach to the Immortal Spirit, or what Water Tiger usually calls Monkey Offering. With this one today, it'll leave us with 1 frolic each for the monkey, the bear, and the deer. And then we have what's known as the basic animal frolic, which is not basic from a Water Tiger School perspective. That's why we're saving it for last. And we will have completed the animal frolics. So anyway, there's where that is. Well, of course, because it's the animal frolics, we'll start with a little piece from the 9 temple exercises, advance and retreat. It's just usual for us to do that, just because it puts our focus on our knees. Don't have a lot else to talk about. Just FYI, we have updated certain aspects of our World Tai Chi and Qigong Day archive on our website. So we have the recognition that we received for this year's events up there, and we have our annual report of the event up. The gallery does exist, but there aren't any photos in it yet. As a matter of fact, both the 2022 gallery and the 2023 gallery have the same message, that hopefully by the 2024 event, the galleries will be updated. We're busy. Aside from that, I'll just mention, thank goodness this is inside in New York on Long Island. Although this morning, the day that we're shooting this, the air quality is actually in a good state. It's still forecast to be not as the day progresses, but it's a lot better than it was 2 days ago when it looked like Mel Gibson was going to pull in with his little police cruiser or something from Mad Max. But anyway, so enough about that. So if you happen to be in an area that has poor air quality, please, it's weird. I've spent the last 3 years walking across a parking lot without a mask on, putting the mask on going in the store. And these last couple of days, it's been putting the mask on before I walk across the parking lot and taking off the mask as I go into the store. So anyway, so there you go. We'll talk about some of the specifics about the monkey when we get to it. As is usual for 3 now of the 4 frolics that we did with the monkey, Curious George comes out. The first was our first video on the monkey frolics. It was back when we were doing Facebook Live. It was May 18th of 2020, and that was for monkey walking. And then relatively recently, just back in November on the 22nd, we did monkey picking a peach, which was the last frolic of the monkey that we did, and I was wearing the same shirt. So it's just become a thing with the monkey frolics. I went to the Smithsonian Aerospace Museum in DC, and all I got was this stupid t-shirt. I like this t-shirt. So anyway, so there you go. I'm just going to sort of shake out to start with. Get some breath going. What time is it anyway? Okay. Probably finish my mint here. So again, we do advance and retreat to put the focus on the knees because the movements of the frolics, we're tending to have 1 foot at around a 45-degree angle and then turning to the opposite 45. So we have a 90-degree angle between the angles of the 2 feet. And we want to make sure that our knee stays the same orientation of that weighted foot. So this exercise, we feel, helps with that. That's not one of the listed therapeutic qualities, but we treat it that way, just that whole body awareness in advance and retreats. It has different names. Some call it retreat and advance, moving forward and moving backward, etc. And sometimes the 9 temple exercises are just known as the temple exercises. I think they have some other names too. But aside from the knee thing, advance and retreat works the abdominals, the legs, and the ankles. It activates the Xia Dantian, the actual Dantian, not the acupuncture point, though that gets some attention as well. And the Shen Yu, the essence door, the lower back, as well as benefits the organs of the kidneys, the liver, the spleen, the pancreas, gallbladder, and all 3 colons, ascending, transverse, and descending colons. So there we go. Now, you may need to keep the feet sort of more shoulder width. We tend to go a little bit broader than that. Toes and knees forward throughout. So this isn't one where we splay the toes out away. We want the toes and the knees forward, and that remains the same. We twist in the torso, but above the hips. And the reason for that is if I turn my hip, I know it's sort of hard to see in this view, but you can notice that right leg, if I turn the right hip forward, the left hip back, that right knee collapses inward. And it also puts outside pressure on the left knee. But if I don't turn the hips, then the knees stay forward. So that's that idea, separating between the upper body and the lower body. If your hips and knees are a little bit more flexible, the hips can turn a little bit and you can still maintain the knees forward. But that just depends upon the condition of your knees and hips, your range of motion there. So what we normally suggest is you start with this band and you twist in that band to that point where you start to feel that tug on that hip. And then you move to the band above it, and then toward the chest and the upper back. And if you get to that point where you don't, you're probably not going to get the shoulders right straight forward and back. Maybe you will. Who knows? Then you just turn the head and neck. Some of you, if you have more, a shorter range of motion, then a lot of it's going to be just a slight little turn of the torso and a big turn of the head on the neck. And that's okay. So I'm going to start in the left. And we start with retreat. One, just philosophically, that's that's always your first option, is, as we say, get the hell out of Dodge, is retreat. So I'm going to put the weight in my left foot. This is my left foot. I'm going to turn and look to the left. But again, in those sections and feeling that to make sure that the toes and the knees stay forward. And in retreat, I look to that side of the space and I keep my focus on that side of the space as I shift to the other leg. And that's retreat. In advance, if I go back to where I just retreated, advance is looking in the direction that you're going to be shifting. And for us, some people do this sort of as a combined, and they'll do this and turn and shift at the same time. We separate the two. We shift and then turn. Shift and then turn. There's a suggested breath pattern for us. Some people do this without a suggested breath pattern, and you can do that too. So breathe when you have to. As a matter of fact, to begin with, if you've never joined us for Advance and Retreat, if you've never done Advance and Retreat before, probably just focus on the movement and keeping your knees aligned with your toes. That would be your best choice, your best option. If you've done this, then maybe add the breath pattern. And if you've done this and have added the breath pattern, but haven't added the imagery, you might go ahead and do that then too. And the imagery is something's coming toward, for retreat, something's coming toward me, and I'm opening up space. I'm creating space. I'm becoming yin to that yang. Down there on my tea bottle, right? Visual aid. I'll even bring it closer. There you go, see? Yin and yang. Tai Chi symbol. Tai Chi Chu. My Chinese is terrible. But anyway, I just want to mention, since I said it's the Tai Chi symbol, the art is named for the symbol, not the symbol for the art. So advanced, then we'll get to what that imagery is, yin and yang wise, when we get there. So let's go ahead and start with retreat. So I'm going to turn, fill the left foot, turn and look to the left, make sure my toes and my knees are facing the same direction. And just going to start with the movement. Shift till most of my weight, if not all of it, really, is in my right leg. And then I'm going to turn while that right leg remains full. My lower back's a little tight today. And shift and turn. And shift and turn. My toes were a little splayed. I felt it. Shift and turn. I think it's fixed. Shift and turn feels fixed. I think it looks fixed. Let's look at that. Yep, on the monitor. Shift and turn. So if I want a breath pattern for our retreat, the Water Tiger School's approach, it might be an inhalation on the shift and exhalation on the turn, but breathe when you have to. So maybe inhale on the shift, exhale on the turn. Shift and turn. I'm not counting repetitions, just going to go for a while. Shift and turn. Hopefully when I get to advance, they'll be somewhat balanced. Turn and shift. Maybe an inhale or an exhale and an inhale. Maybe an exhale and an inhale. Turn and shift. Exhale on the turn, inhale on the shift. Something's coming toward me. I'm creating space for it, into which it can expand. Something's coming toward me from the right side of the space, and I am retreating away from it. By the way, there's another level you can add to this, and that is, as you are retreating, can you find what's advancing? Because there's always advance and retreat, and always retreat and advance. You know, for instance, that leg is expanding down in that direction as I move off of it. It's pressing down as this is absorbing the weight. So there is an advance. This shoulder is turning back. This shoulder is turning forward. There's an advance. There's a retreat side. Turn and shift, and those are just the big ones. Turn and shift. Again, maybe an exhalation to an inhalation. We're going to do just 2 more pairs. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. Last retreat this direction and turn. Last retreat this direction and hold. So now, once again, I'm starting with my weight in my left foot, but I'm looking in the direction in which I will be moving. So at this point, I'm in a yin position. That energy, that opponent, that whatever is in the yang position, it becomes yin. It starts to move away. It creates space. And into that space, I will expand. So again, we're going to start with the physicality of this and then get into the rest of it. And again, just go for a little while. Not going to count repetition. So again, I'm going to shift while looking in the direction I'm shifting. And by the way, I'm maintaining, ideally throughout, crown point of the head over the base of the pelvic bowl. I'm not leaning forward in one direction. I'm not leaning back in the other. The chin from parallel to the slight tuck down. Turn. Now I'm expanding in that direction as whatever compresses. As it becomes yin, I become yang. Turn and shift. Turn and shift. Turn. Toes and knees forward. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. And I like the floppy arm version of this. I just let the arms hang usually, unless I'm using them to talk, which you may have noticed I do a lot. Shift and turn, not just when I go, warning, warning, danger, Will Robinson. That would be about the knee. If you're turning or twisting your knee as you're doing this, warning, Will Robinson. Shift and turn, as I have said in the past. If that does not ring a bell, Google it. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. Now, maybe on the breath, the exhalation shifts to the shift, and then the inhale is on the turn. So maybe an exhalation on the shift in advance, maybe an inhalation on the turn. Shift and turn, shift and turn, shift and turn, maybe an exhale and an inhale, maybe an exhale and an inhale. Again, I like that floppy arm, that idea that they just do what they do, and if we hold it, it takes a little while for them shift to settle. And turn, shift, and turn. Other people will put upper body movement into this. Shift and turn. They might do a shift and turn, or something else. Shift and turn. And to us, that's going beyond advance and retreat. Shift and turn, as is to us, shift and turn is not, or actually in this case it'd be shift and turn. Well, no, it would be the same thing. Shift and turn, that's what I get for doing something that I haven't done before. So again, maybe an exhalation and an inhale. Again, the image, something is moving away, filling up the space. And what is retreating is I am advancing. Again, you have just the idea of the shoulder, that in this case, since I have filled my right foot, it's my right shoulder that's pulling back, my left shoulder is moving forward, so the left shoulder is retreating as everything else is advancing. That left leg is driving down and back, is retreating as I am advancing. Shift and turn, and again, those are just the big parts. Shift and turn, maybe an inhale and an exhale. Shift, you see that movement away, that compression, expand into it and turn. But again, breathe when you have to, let go of the imagery, let go of trying to analyze what's advancing and what's retreating. Pay attention to the knees and the toes moving in the same direction. I'm thinking 4 more pair. I'm warm. I'm thinking 3 more pair. My knees and my toes seem to be okay. So I'm thinking 2 more pair. And you can go slow. Last pair. I'm going to turn equally, divide the weight between the 2 feet, and turn and face the front. There's George. He's curious. All right. So there's the warm-up, advance and retreat from the 9 temple exercises. So monkey frolics have these things that are, sort of important to know to begin with, and then to incorporate into your play of the frolics from a water tiger school perspective. And it's just nice to know what the therapeutic quality of the different frolics are. So the monkey frolics support the health of the spleen, pancreas, and the stomach. It helps to treat indigestion, helps to treat dietary and other dietary issues and other gastrointestinal issues. The reason I mention the dietary is that it has been known to increase appetite in those who need to up their caloric intake and to decrease appetite in those who need to lower their caloric intake. It helps to strengthen the shoulders, the spine, the muscular extremities. And the way that it energizes the entire body can help to address chronic infections. And the focus on the eyes in the monkey activate the qi flow into the eyes, and can actually help with eye health. And those are the therapeutic qualities. They're just sort of nice to know as you're doing the frolics. The next parts of this are things that you need to start to incorporate into your play. They're known as the Buddhist aspects of the frolic. And the first is how we should incorporate the nature and the spirit of the animal in the play. And the nature of the monkey is constant activity. The thing is, with this approach to the frolic, there are hesitations, there are pauses generally in both the breath and the movement. So how do you express constant activity when the movement stops? Have you ever heard the expression monkey mind? The monkey's mind is focused and is active and looking in those pauses. So that constant activity doesn't necessarily have to be exactly physical. So that's the nature, expressed through constant activity. The spirit of the animal is flexible and playful. As you would expect a monkey to be. And that is maintain, while you're maintaining, I couldn't remember if it was like just maintain it or is it wrapped around or wrapped by, but it's maintaining a certain inner strength, and that's cleverness. So playful and energetic while maintaining a certain inner strength, which is expressed through cleverness. And we like to think that this particular frolic of the monkey incorporates that spirit quite a bit. The movement is focused on the upper body, and some cautions here when we get to the specifics, but I will mention, the crane is one of the animals that we've finished. It's not one of the remaining three. We finished crane and tiger. The crane is said to open up, all that grace and elegance in the crane. The monkey is said to close in. So expressing through the upper body, we compress the neck while we contract the shoulders. So everything sort of comes in as we move. Here's the caution. Warning, Will Robinson. And that's, do that without tension. Do that without really clenching. Compress, but don't clench. I remember back in the day, nigh on to about 20 years ago, when I was first introduced to the frolics, doing the monkey for the first few times. Oh man, I'd wake up the next day and I could barely move my upper body because I was overemphasizing the muscular activation. So be very, very cautious here as you compress the neck and the shoulders. So just, yeah. So that's the physical, that's that movement in the upper body. That's where our focus is in the physicality of the monkey. The breath is an inhalation and exhalation both through the mouth. The inhalation, and this really activates, from the health benefits, we talked about supporting digestion and abdominal issues and gastrointestinal issues and that sort of thing. This breath really activates that because your inhalation is into the teeth. So that causes an activation in the abdominals. So you create that inner massage. And the exhalation, sort of like the crane exhale, is the sound of the breeze, the wind. We like to sort of add a little monkey attitude to it. And we don't actually go, ooh, the sound, ooh. We don't do that, but we move in that, we move the lips sort of in that direction for the exhalation. So again, in through the teeth, and it's not open mouth and open teeth, it's open mouth and breathing through the teeth, and then out through the nose, the sound of the breeze, with a little bit of a monkey attitude. This chi focus for the chi focus for the monkey is one of the least complicated, simplest of the 5 animals, because all it is simply visualize the chi and the Shiadantia to get not the acupuncture point, but the actual esoteric vessel that sits in the cup of the hips, so that mystical sphere in the lower abdominal cavity. So visualize the chi there while also focusing on the hands. There you go. That's the basic breakdown of where our focus needs to be as we're doing the monkey. So nature expressed in constant activity, the spirit, playful flexibility while maintaining a certain inner strength, which is a cleverness, focusing on that compression and folding in as opposed to expanding out, being careful not to overactivate the muscles and compressing the neck, compressing the shoulders, compressing the neck, and contracting the shoulders. And there you go. And the inhalation and exhalation out through the mouth, in through the teeth, the out through the lips with a little bit of a monkey attitude. Visualizing the chi and the Shiadantia and the actual esoteric vessel while also focusing on the hands. And there you go. So, all of those details aside for a moment, the basic walk for the monkey is 45 to 45, and we go for this particular frolic. We go to the ball of the foot, we set the heel down, and we bring the other foot in. And then we turn. Knee, toe, same direction. So the weight's in the left foot. I'm pointed over toward that 45. Here is another possibility of a modification. Maybe hip, knee flexibility for you. The 45 to 45, you can feel the pressure on your hips or your knees. Shallow it up a little bit. You don't want to go all the way forward, but you can go somewhere between, like from a 45 to maybe a 35, maybe a 30-degree angle. But 45 to 45 is ideal. Other toes out, such switch to the heel and come up. So on that step, that's going to be the inhalation and the compression. And then you set the heel down and you come up out of it. Inhale, set the heel down. Now in this basic walk, just sort of getting those details out, again, 45 to 45, we'll add that idea of the closing. So we're walking a line right now. I'll address that in a moment. The hands release from whatever they're doing. And in that moment, when you come up, just a little forward here, palms are going to be back and they're at your side. We're going to turn the palms up. We're going to turn the direction we've been walking. I've been walking toward the camera, so that's the direction to which I'm turning. Up, down, and then into the Shiadantian. So if you know Water Tiger, you know our basic Tai Chi Qigong breathing set. It's like the movement of pour chi through the Bach Way. It's this movement in the upper body. And since you couldn't see my feet before, I was in the right, turning forward and down. The reason I mentioned the thing about, we're walking in a line right now, That is the easiest way to learn this approach to the frolics, not only on video, but in class as well. Whenever we do a deep drill in our Qigong class at Water Tiger School, we start the 2-month run with a deep drill, and we start walking in a linear fashion. The reason that I make that specific remark is that these frolics, this approach to the frolics, is actually normally done in a circle. So if you're closing and walking a circle, you'd be wherever you are on your circle, and you'd turn into the, where you are on the border of the circle to close. But instructing people while walking in a circle, one, is difficult from the instructor's standpoint, and also difficult for the people learning. What's that poor person going to do who's in this position when the instructor at that point is behind them? So the linear way is a good way to do this. And I should also mention that a lot of people see Water Tiger School doing the animal frolics in a public setting, and they'll come up and say, what style of Tai Chi is that? Because so many of us are accustomed to Qigong always being stationary, always being in some version of our shoulder width stance with the knees open and never really moving from that, except maybe in the case of like the standing a piece of brocade, getting wider or more, or narrow, depending upon the piece of brocade that you're doing. So maybe change in width is all we're accustomed to. And other people do the animal frolics and they don't walk. They may take a foot forward and then they bring it back instead of bringing the back foot in. And again, they also have different animals. I've seen 5 animals that listed things like leopard instead of tiger. They might have both leopard and tiger. Serpent, dragon. Did I see one with a turtle? I think one list I saw once had a turtle in their 5 Animal Frolics, which is important if you're headed toward the Dark Tower. There's a pop culture reference for you. But anyway, so there you go. That's the lower body. That's the walk with a little bit of that upper body compression, switching to the heel, releasing, compressing, switching to the heel, releasing with that little pause in between. Now the upper body for this particular frolic, I'm really dry this morning. I wonder if there's like a lot of smoke in here or something. It's still lingering, even though I think we're in the clear this morning. It's still around. The monkey offers peach to the to the Immortal Spirit, or monkey offering. Your hands are going to come, the paws, I suppose. The paws are going to come together. Everything's going to be forward. The 4 fingers of both hands. So the 10 of the 2 all pointed forward. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. It's here. So you're sort of forming that platter as you compress. The height is about chin level. We like to imagine sort of a relatively large peach. And I'm looking around that peach to see the Immortal Spirit. And then I set the heel down and I pull it away from them. Don't actually grab a hold of it. I just did that because I was talking about it. But that's sort of the image. It's like, here it is. Oh, no, you don't. Here it is. No, you don't. So that's how we get the playful, flexible, with cleverness, a certain inner intelligence. And that's monkey offering in a nutshell. Again, compressing the neck and the shoulders, bringing the hands to chin height, all 10 of the 2 pointing the same direction, right straight forward, hands lightly together. I'm not like, to get the hands together, they're going to be like this. No, they're just together, not separate, together, kind of forming that platter, compressing, coming down. That's the inhalation. Hold. Set the heel down, still holding the breath, still holding the movement. And that little monkey-ish exhale. And then switching to the other side. So from here and back and forth for our pass. Shaking out the legs a little bit. Been doing this really interesting physical training set recently that involves really working the main muscle groups first to stretch and then to really work them. And let me tell you, it really works them. So, do a pass walking toward you, doing a pass walking away from you, and we'll probably call it a session. We'll be back with Tai Chi, hopefully in about 3 weeks. We sort of missed our last 3-week window and did it, I think, in 4. But we're back to 3, and hopefully we'll be back in 3 with another Tai Chi focus. Just sort of a little bit of a forward. The last Tai Chi focus was some staff basics. The next Tai Chi focus is actually going to also involve a staff or a stick, but it's not going to be staff play. It's going to be using the staff as a tool for something else. So there's your forward for the next video, unless we change the rotation, but that's sort of what we're looking at now. And also just another forward, we've also received requests to go beyond the staff basics and do a little bit more progression in the spins. So that idea is out there to eventually become part of the Tai Chi series that we've been releasing ever since March of 2020. It was really sort of weird at one point yesterday or the day before. No, it was yesterday. And we found ourselves checking COVID rate for Long Island, then switching to air quality report. This is not the 21st century I envisioned. All right, we'll shake. A little let go. Take that turn and step. So, we'll get that foot to its 45 or 30 or whatever it needs to be for you for our first extension to the left. Take a moment to sort of get in touch with your inner monkey. As always, when we talk about the animal frolics, we highly recommend, either going out in nature, watching documentaries about the particular animal, what's out there on tigers, what's out there on bears, what's out there on deer, what's out there on monkeys, what's out there on cranes. So getting a little in touch with my inner monkey. A little bounce over to the left, set that foot to the 45. Inhale. I did that through my teeth, but not very well. Holding movement and breath. Set the heel down. The heel down. Set the heel down. Set the heel down. Heel down. I'm going to take 2 more steps this direction. Heel down. Constant activity, looking around. Hi, Immortal Spirit. You can't have this. Turning in the direction we have been frolicking. Palms up. Palms down. and a little rebound. And by the by, on that closing, you know, most people will tend to turn on the balls of both feet. For some people, that might be difficult. So you keep the right foot grounded, again, toe and knee the same direction. Turning forward, you bring that foot into a place where you have clearance to turn the left foot forward and then turn the right foot forward and close. So do what's right for you with your knees. But the balls of the feet, depending upon your surface, should probably be okay for most people. Surface and shoes. Just don't save your knees as you're doing the frolic and having them point the same direction, then go and close and rack your knee up, because Lawrence told you, turn on the balls of the feet. And go back this way, away from the camera. A little bounce over to the left, turn that right foot out to your angle, 45 or not, and fill it. And first compression, chin height, everything pointed forward. Inhalation in through the teeth, set the heel down. Pause, movement, and breath. The heel down. Looking. Set the heel down. You can't have it. Hey, Immortal Spirit, here it is. Set the heel down. You can't have it. Set the heel down. Set the heel down. Last two steps this direction. Set the heel down. Last step this direction. Didn't get my through the teeth inhalation done there. Turn the direction we've been walking, up, down, little rebound. And that, my friends, is monkey offering, or monkey offers peach to the immortal spirit. Some people do put the word great in there. I tend to do that just, I don't know why, because I've seen it somewhere. So again, remember, the monkey frolics, great for indigestion and other gastrointestinal disorders, strengthens the abdominals, the upper body, energizes the body in a way that helps to sort of address chronic infections, and also can help with eye health. You want to embrace the nature of the monkey, which is expressed through that idea of constant activity, not necessarily physical. And the spirit of the animal is flexibility and playfulness with a certain inner strength, which is an intelligence or cleverness. Movement focuses on the upper body and that compression, compressing the neck, contracting the shoulders, but being very, very careful not to do that with too much muscularity. That you want the intent and you want things to compress and contract, but don't force it. The chi focus primarily, didn't really talk about that as we were doing the walk itself, stays in the Shia Dantian, again, not the acupuncture point, but the actual esoteric vessel, while also focusing on the hands. And the breath is in through the teeth. There's a tendency sometimes to do that sort of on the lips. You want to make sure the lips open and the teeth stay together. And then sort of the sound of a breeze, a little bit of monkey attitude creates a little bit more of a puff at the top of it. And that's it. Again, all of that stuff, the therapeutic quality isn't something that you really have to keep in mind as you're doing the actual frolic. But nature, spirit, physicality, the way in which you move, the breath, and the chi focus are Those are referred to as the Buddhist aspects of the frolic in this approach to the animal frolics. The Taoist aspect has one thing, and that's to lose the idea that you are pretending to be a monkey and actually become the monkey. You're becoming the animal. So if you've done any acting and you're familiar with Konstantin Stanislavski, you know, he had this thing where, what would I do if I were the character in these given circumstances? You have to throw that out, because you are not what would I do if I were a monkey in these given circumstances. You are the monkey. And there you go. And again, hopefully in about 3 weeks, we'll be back with our Tai Chi focus again at this time in the rotation, because this concept was new to us and sort of exciting. So we thought we would share it. Does involve a staff, ideally a shorter staff, but it can also be done with a towel, though that's not opt. But a broomstick, all that will work. And, you know, we'll tell you more about that when we actually do it. So as always, thank you for your time and attention. As always, we still preview our comments simply because, and we know there's a new testing, there's a beta out there where they have more sensitivity in their catching inappropriate comments, but we don't trust that at this point. And that's the only reason. We just don't want our comment fields filled with links to, shall we say, dates with people. And we also post a link to this, to our videos on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page. And that's a little bit more Wild West. But again, if you flame us there, constructive criticism, always appreciated. But flaming us will get you your comment deleted and you banned from the Facebook page. So you can tell us we're doing something wrong, just do it nicely and explain how we can be better. And that's fine. And I think that's it. So again, thanks. Appreciate it. And you'll see us next time.